So, important moments happen every day in our lives. Whether we just graduated, went to a wedding, or maybe just found a cool looking turtle at the side of the road. And our first instinct is snap a picture. Sadly, sometimes our lack of knowledge and skill of taking pictures become roadblocks, and we get instances like this. This is a picture of my brother and his graduation party. He was opening gifts, and I was excited, he was excited. And in the midst, I couldn't really get a good picture, and half of my images on my phone look like that.
Oh no.
And looking back at it, it's frustrating. I wish I knew how I could have prevented this. So today, we're going to talk about 3 fundamental skills in order to take better pictures in your lives. First, we're going to talk about framing your picture, finding your light, and finding perspective. So first, with finding perspective, First, with framing your photo. One of the books I found at the library talked about the rule of thirds. The rule of thirds basically explained in Steve Luck's Digital and Classic Photography Experts Manual, explained that basically you want your photo to be aligned in these 4 corners, or aligned up and down. This helps your viewer, or the person looking at your photo, naturally look at the important points in your photo. And studies have shown people don't usually just look in the center, they look at these corners. So this is one of my photos I took in Mexico. These really ancient doors that are in my dad's hometown. And you can see you're not necessarily looking right in the center, right? You're looking at the corners. And so this is important considering in taking photography, finding a good frame. So next thing we're going to consider is finding your light. Light is super crucial in photography. George Lane explained, he had a really cool quote about it in chapter 5 in this book. He wrote this book in 2013, and he explained that light is the photographer's palette and toolbox. So, and it's important to find your light that's in regards of your subject, because without light you can't see it, right? It's obvious. So, and sometimes it takes patience to look for that light, and a lot of us are aware of the phrase the golden hour. And of course, maybe a lot of us have seen it on Instagram with the cool kids have like their shiny golden faces on their profiles or whatever. And that's because a lot of them wait either early in the morning or right before the sun sets to get that sun to lower down and get that nice red soft look in your photos. And that's another thing to consider when taking photos is the light and the place. And that's what we did a couple months ago when me and my brother did a little mini photography shoot. And he decided to place me there because the sun wasn't necessarily in my face, but just hitting my face in the right spot. So what the sun does in the midday, it makes the colors more saturated, and vibrant. And this is no filter or anything. It's just all the light doing its job. The second thing that we can consider in photography is finding perspective. A lot of us have the habit of just taking a picture straight on. And that can be a good thing, and it can also be a bad thing. It's important to find an interesting angle and work with your subject. And that's exactly, again, what I got from Steve Luck's book. So maybe you would have to climb, bend down, get on your knees, and get your pants dirty, but it's worth it to find that cool perspective. And here are a couple examples of me just looking up at the trees and finding them. I like how the trees look like a channel. And here's another one of my cat and me getting down to his level. And what perspective does is it adds a depth. It makes this 2D dimensional picture come to life. So in this speech, we've learned that we can have better pictures by just doing 3 simple things. Finding perspective, your light, and just simply keeping your picture in frame. And by doing this, we won't have to struggle with the blurry pictures or the ugly ones that we have in your phone.
Hey, Jackie, great topic. An important topic that a lot of folks take for granted. And I think from your the examples you showed us of your own photos, yeah, so we can take better photos. I've seen too many pictures of people's cats looking down on them, looking up at a cat. That's something that's monstrous that way. That's great. That was a great photo. Good topic. I think the way you designed your slides went a long way to add interest and clarity to specific ideas that you're talking about within your speech. I appreciate the effort you went into drawing attention to your sources within each main idea. Introduction to speech worked well as far as leading off the speech with a way that's asking us to consider our everyday moments, the specialness of those everyday moments, but also recognizing that people make mistakes and that these special moments get lost. And I thought it was really clever the way you established your credibility, recognizing a problem in your life. You weren't taking very good pictures, and that led you to learn something about doing better photography. So a good way of motivating us to listen, capturing our attention, establishing your credibility, clear preview of main ideas. All right, a couple corrective comments. While your main ideas were previewed clearly, again, as I said to some of your classmates, the thesis that these main ideas developed was not stated as explicitly or with as much emphasis as I would have liked. I would have liked you to say, you can take better pictures if you remember these 3 things. Framing, finding light, and finding perspective. Today in my speech we'll talk about framing, finding light, finding perspective. And it'll sound really repetitive. But that repetition draws attention to the explicitness of your thesis that we can take better pictures. Okay? Another thing that I'd like you to do, I caught a clear effort on your part to draw attention to your sources, but the way you were citing your sources was frequently kind of awkward, kind of cumbersome. And
I lost my outline.
Yeah.
I had it all in there, so I had to do it straight from memory.
Okay, so as I suggested to Stephen, we don't want to bring an outline up on the day of speech. We want to distill our speech to note cards, 3x5 index cards that might just keep the essential, important information. And we're not even going to fool with the note cards on a computer where the power can go off and it can be lost. Those note cards can be written with pen and paper, and they can sit in your pocket, and you'll carry those around with you the week up until when your speech is due. So when it comes time, you need to cite a source. It's a matter of, oh, okay, Kendrick Fredrickson, his 1999 book, An Introduction to Photography. Okay, great. You've got that, and you can say it in a way that rolls trippingly off the tongue, as opposed to kind of dragging out, which ate up more time than it needed to. So we can think about incorporating note cards to enhance the smoothness of your delivery and getting these important parts of your message out. The one last corrective comment, I really liked the photos that you use to illustrate certain techniques, and I was just wondering if it would be possible that we could get more examples of your photography to emphasize certain points. I thought that was a beautiful image that showed the rule of thirds and that those two doors in Mexico. And I'm just wondering if it might have been possible that we could have seen 2 or 3 additional examples of the rule of thirds being applied, or lighting techniques being applied, or interesting perspective. You had 2 images for perspective. So yeah, maybe 2 examples per rule, or better still, maybe 3 or 4 examples. Good examples tend to swim in threes. And for that first rule you focused on about the rule of thirds, framing a photograph, if someone doesn't quite understand what you mean by framing, and even though you had that diagram of showing the way we would block off an image, in the golden ratio, we have 9 little boxes there. If someone doesn't fully understand the explanation, maybe with 2 or 3 examples of different forms of composition where part of the image is the focal point, and then there's the background image off to the side and or in the corners, then the lesson starts to stick in people's mind with the multiple examples. So look out for that opportunity in the future. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.